No, Jenny Salisa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to speak on this bill, and I'd like to address comments from the other side. The UK, Mr. Speaker, has 12 or so supermarket chains, so far more competition than what we have here in New Zealand. Here, we only have 2 major supermarket chains, and yet the government does not want to introduce an adjudicator. Mr. Speaker, this bill would amend the Commerce Act of 1986. It would require supermarkets to have, to establish an adjudicator, and we believe on this side of the House, Mr. Speaker, that this is a good thing. An adjudicator, according to this bill, must in turn establish a code of conduct, and then he or she would be able to resolve issues that may arise between supermarkets and their suppliers when and if the code of conduct is breached. This bill would prevent and mitigate restrictive trade practices for long-term benefit of consumers and suppliers. And Mr. Speaker, I welcome this legislation because we believe on this side of the House that it would address the power imbalance between our limited number of supermarket owners and their suppliers. Mr. Speaker, Labor has been concerned about this issue that we're talking about, that this bill would address for quite some time. We've been working on a bill actually for a number of years that would look at options for developing a code of conduct for the supermarket industry. So we are pleased that the bill that Joe Mathers has introduced will actually look at developing a code of conduct, and one of the key tasks of this bill would actually introduce an adjudicator. We've also, the Labor Party that has been pushing for Section 36 of the Commerce Act to be reviewed, because we would like to ensure that companies with substantial market power cannot continue to dominate the market unfairly. Mr. Speaker, we believe that the bill that we have been working on is tailor-made, and it would actually, and even though we, the Labor Party, support this Members' Bill to Select Committee, we will be introducing SOPs if it gets to that stage. Now, establishing a code of conduct and an adjudicator to oversee compliance with the code should have beneficial flow-on effects to both local producers and to local consumers. New Zealand is a small country, Mr. Speaker. We have a comparatively small population, and the fact is that some of our consumer markets lack competition. Certain industries, such as supermarkets, have been dominated for too long. In fact, having only 2 dominant chains that have 90% share of the market is something that we should, ensure that there is an adjudicator to actually address the issue that they have such a control of the market. It leads to higher prices, particularly for families, particularly for end consumers. Mr. Speaker, the most recent Colmar Brunton poll reveals that the top issues concerning our Kiwi families are wages and the cost of living, affordable housing, the lack thereof, and unemployment. Thousands and thousands of families across this country, Mr. Speaker, are struggling just to survive. They're struggling just to make ends meet. Mr. Speaker, allowing local producers, as this bill would do, to survive in the supermarket arena should bring local benefits to our local communities, and a code of conduct could possibly put a brake on any attempts to price gouge or to price fix what is charged to our consumers. Mr. Speaker, when you have jobs, a lot of our people in South Auckland, when they have jobs that does not actually give them fixed hours, doesn't actually guarantee them a fixed income per week, doesn't even guarantee that they could actually earn enough money to pay large sums of money just to pay childcare providers to assist them so that they can go out to work. Mr. Speaker, we believe that we need a bill like this. However, as I said earlier on, the Labor Party, if it gets to Select Committee, will be introducing several SOPs. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker.